Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. We're here weekly to talk about our favorite thing going in circles. Sometimes going right, sometimes mostly going left. Sometimes we'll talk about anything. How you doing, Adam?
I'm good. Who was it? The Hudson Hornet, wasn't it? In the movie Cars, you got to turn right to go left. What was his
Yeah,
name in
Doc.
that movie?
Doc
Doc.
Hudson. Let's try and walk on each other as little as possible tonight, and that's going to take you and
What
I
were you
getting
trying to
into
say?
trying to get in a little bit of discipline. It was actually
Yeah.
Mike Morris. Man, you guys were jumping all over each other last night. I'm like, in real life, it never happens, but it's this half-second delay between all of the technology that we jump on each other a little bit.
It's funny you say that because, as you say, in real life, it's not a problem that we deal with. And it's a problem for a lot of places and a lot of people. It just never has been with us. But in this, and the reason why I think is when we're live, and we're live-ish now, there's just that half second or second delay. If we cut each other off and then realize we're both talking, we might spend 2 seconds continuing to talk. Like, hey, I've got something to say. That's sort of the cue, right? Got something to say, and then one of us will shut down. Well, here, by the time you do that, now we're 3 or 4 seconds into talking over each other, and it's just a cluster.
Or we both stop talking, and then we both start, and it never gets going. Either way, we're working on the dynamics of it a little bit. I call it winding down. After working with you and Greg and even Jamie Maudsley enough, I can tell when you guys are ending a sentence and we're about to pick it up. Today, we're just going to have some fun. We're off schedule. We're a day late and an hour behind, but that's okay. 3 entities make this work: Spencer, Adam, and myself. And, each week one of us has something going on. I had Billy Strings a couple weeks ago, and we had stuff going on this week, so we appreciate everybody hanging around. We're going to welcome one of Canada's fastest young racers out there, a guy we probably don't talk about enough for as much international stuff as he's been working on the past couple of years, and that's Chase Pinstone. So let's bring Chase on now if we can. Chase is a late model racer out of Bell River, Ontario, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, be like, for those of us that aren't that geographically, it'd be like in the southwestern part of Ontario, between like Chatham and Windsor. Is that right, Chase?
Yeah, that would be correct. We're about 30 minutes away from the Windsor-Detroit border, right in between there.
All right, so before I turn you over to Adam, let's get a little bit about how old are you, where do you normally race, and what's going on for our viewers who don't know you. We've seen you on some of our APC broadcasts, but, age, what's the plan? What are you up to these days?
Well, I'm 19 years old. Just started at the University of Windsor. I'm a student here and also travel with Carson Hocevar Racing, the team that I've been honored to be a part of for the last year and some change. Actually, we're approaching 2 years now. I've had the opportunity to obviously start in the Superstock scene in Canada, raced a little bit at Flamborough, Delaware, traveled with the Quick series for 1 year. Had the opportunity to run a few APC races, predominantly running the Pro Late model in Delaware, and then transitioning over with Van Dorn Racing Development to full-time in the United States for the 2025 season. I believe 2024 and 2025 season. Had a ton of fun over there. Just learning more every week and progressively getting faster.
Chase, how hard is it that's a fast progression that you've made. So how hard is it to go to these places where there's veterans, there's other youngsters, there's kids for that matter? Like I can't even call you a kid, even though I want to. But at 19, you've got a lot of years on some of the people you're racing with.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of young talent, and age doesn't really mean anything for a lot of those kids. There's a lot of fast 15, 16-year-olds, like, Keelan Harvick's of the world, super, super fast kids. I'm honored to be a part of it, but it's definitely humbling. It's very challenging racing against the best of the best in the ASA Stars National Tour. Even the JEG CRA All-Stars Tour that I run back up in Michigan has some stout names, guys like Kyle Crump and Carson used to run that. So I'm honored to be a part of it, but it's definitely humbling.
I want to back stuff up a little bit here, Chase, for those of us, again, that maybe not familiar with your progression. Okay, so we can back up a few years to the super stocks. What were you doing before that? Did you do any karting? Where did you cut your teeth? Family history? How did you get into this crazy sport?
I feel like it goes all the way back to my grandfather for sure. He started racing late models and checkered flag. Ended up with his ASA team. Obviously, a lot of details with him. My dad was part of the sport for a bit, but my racing really started at Grand Bend, which is I'm sure familiar to most of our Canadian audience. Ran micro sprints for 7 years, ran Junior C when that was a thing, Junior B for a couple of years, and then Junior A sprints for quite some time before I got involved in anything. COVID kind of cut me off a little bit. It was kind of our transition period. We thought we might go to the United States, but because of COVID, obviously that wasn't an option. So took a couple years to regroup, learned as much as we could, kind of did our research, and ended up buying our McCall Super Stock, and that kind of started our journey.
Chase, we've had the chance to talk to Kyle Steckley, Trayton Lapsevich, all the local talent. One thing I don't know if I've ever asked either of them, but I want to ask you now. Is it fun? Or is this like, are you so serious or so intense that it's all focus all the time? Or do you get to have fun and understand, yeah, I'm a race car driver. This is what I want to do.
Well, so it's a little bit unique for me because I mean, all of us love the competition, but I love to lose because I feel like I learned so much out of losing. Obviously, you like to win and stuff, but I think I have fun with it, all the time. Obviously, there's a lot of focus required. It is a very, very high stress position, but I still have fun with it. Um, some of the most fun I ever had was the short track racing I did in Delaware, but when you find success over in the United States, there's not not much better feelings.
Jay, so you've had such a quick progression here up through the ranks. What is the end goal? You know, where do you want to be?
Ah, man, I try to keep as small of a future goal as possible because I have a lot of things going on right now. But I feel like my short-term goal is to make the Snowball Derby. Snowball Derby has kind of been my crown jewel and something that I've wanted to not necessarily win, but just be a part of. I think it's such a big part of history. So that is my short-term goal. Obviously, long-term goal, it would be awesome to be a part of, NASCAR Cup Series, to be one of the big dogs that gets paid every weekend to race cars. It takes a lot of awesome people and a lot of great partners and sponsors to make that all happen. So I'm hoping for the best in the future, but obviously there's a lot of things that need to happen to make that dream a reality.
Who do you look up to, Chase? Who mentors you?
I don't know if I have someone specific that mentors me, but people that I look up to for sure are, I mean, my crew chief Zach, and then my dad and my grandfather. My grandfather's been a key piece of my life since the start of my racing journey, all the way back in Grand Bend, and has traveled with me since I first started racing. He's been a lot of my inspiration. He has some of the coolest stories that I think exist to tell for racing. So listening to him's kind of inspired me and really grown my love for the sport. And then obviously my dad is probably the guy behind the scenes more than anything. You'll never see him. You'll see him, in the corners and stuff, but he's doing some of the most work out of anybody. So super thankful for those people, and I look up to both of them.
Chase, you've had a quick progression from super stocks not many years ago to, as you mentioned, a team with Carson Hocevar running all these big late model series in the States. What's been the key to that progression for you to get there so fast?
I think the thing that's helped me with progressing faster and trying to close that skill gap, because I mean, compared to those kids, I did start a little bit late, is just being really open-minded. As a race car driver, it's really easy, and I find myself doing it all the time to get close-minded and think that you know. The biggest thing about this sport is just always being open to learning new things, whether you think it's going to work or not. You need to be open to it, and you need to be willing to try, because that really is what separates success and failure. Feel like the most success I've ever found is just being completely transparent, listening to the people on my team, kind of observing and listening in on conversations I have with other racers who are maybe faster than me on that current day. So really just being open-minded and learning all the time, I feel like has been the best mentality that's kind of brought me the most success in the States so far.
Chase, what are you studying at Windsor?
I'm studying engineering. I'm actually still at the facility right now. I was lucky enough to get a little cubicle here to be able to pop in and say hi. But yeah, I'm studying mechanical engineering, looking to maybe master in aerospace. Love math. It's really weird considering I'm a race car driver, but love math, and I love to see the correlation between the two.
Chase, any concrete plans beyond the snowball? We're getting some questions here. Do you have plans for next season yet?
Yeah, we don't know exactly all the details, but we are for sure going to run the entirety of the ASA Stars National Tour next year. That is confirmed. We are back with Carson Host of our racing, and super excited to continue that partnership. It's been awesome so far working with Zach and all of the people there has been truly a blessing. So I'm looking forward to working with them again.
What's been your favorite track so far?
Oh, I feel like it's such a loaded question because there's so many good ones. But if I had to pick just one favorite, Winchester, Indiana. There's nothing that beats qualifying at that place. You drive in, and when you think you should lift, go 3 car lengths deeper, and then probably carry it a little bit farther. It's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. So definitely Winchester, but it's also neat to get to some of the more historic tracks. Pensacola, trying to get to maybe a North Wilkesboro next year. So definitely a variety, but if I had to pick one, I'd definitely go back to Winchester, Indiana 100 times a year.
Do you have any laps of Pensacola yet?
Yeah, I ran the Pro Late model a few times in the Allen Turner, ran the Snowflake last year, ran the Super a little bit this year. Haven't had a ton of success, but we've really been developing a package for the Snowball, and I do think we're going to be pretty fast. I'm really looking forward to getting down there.
How much focus goes into qualifying setup for the snowball and how much for race setup?
I mean, you got to get in to win the show. So definitely, I think the majority of it is qualifying as many tires as you can physically put on the cars. Probably about what we're going to see. Per usual, that'll be about everybody that goes down there. So qualifying will definitely be our main focus. Definitely got to get in the show. I do think we'll be really good. I feel really confident. I feel like everything we learned, even at New Smyrna, we were really fast. One of the tracks we struggled at before, but definitely most of our focus will be towards the qualifying effort that happens the day before the Derby.
It's 300 laps there. We saw Trayton Lapsevich and Steckley qualify good in the end. I mean, Trayton hasn't been able to finish. How do you finish that race for 300 laps?
Just executing all night. You have to execute as a driver, stay really calm as a driver. There's, a lot of good race car drivers in the field. So the difference between first on lap 10 and 15th on lap 15 is just one little mistake, right? It doesn't take much to go from first to last in that field because of how stout everybody is. So just executing all night, minimizing mistakes from inside the helmet and not having any mishaps on pit road, making good adjustments all night because that track changes so much. And as long as we keep up with the track and our car, I feel like we'll have a really good shot.
Do you travel with one spotter?
Yeah, we've been with Brad Newman for the last, man, I don't even know how many races. I think he's been with us all season. We've had a really good relationship and we get along super well.
What place aren't you looking forward to?
Oh man, I mean, I'm looking forward to all of them. Feel like I feel like the tracks that I'd look forward to the least are the ones that I struggle with the most, but I guess those are the ones I should love the most because I got the most room for improvement. I don't know if there's necessarily one I'm not looking forward to, but there's again nothing like high banks. So anything with high banks I'm looking forward to, but the flatter you get, the slower you go, probably those would be what I'm looking forward to the least.
Now, obviously, you're intelligent. You're dealing with engineering. You're dealing with math. You already made the comment that's not exactly typical for race car drivers. So when you're in a run at the racetrack, the car's not doing what you want it to. How vocal are you getting on the radio, and how much are you fighting with them over the change you want to see them make and the change your crew chief wants to see you make?
Me and Zach have a great relationship, so I try to let him do the inner workings, and I try to focus on the driving. It is very difficult not to try to get too technical, and sometimes I work myself into a little bit of a hole. I dig into wormholes about what I think should be on it versus what I feel. So I feel like I've done a better job recently at just kind of dissociating myself at the racetrack from the little mechanical details about the race car. It's fun to tinker around for sure at the shop when I can in the summer when I'm not at the university. But I try to separate the two as good as I can. Sometimes the thinking race car driver is a bad one.
Chase, as you get into next season, you've got all these. What kind of pressure do you put on yourself? When you get to the track, is just take it easy. You're going to be all right, or you put a lot of pressure on yourself inside the cockpit.
I think first and foremost, I have to make sure to maintain the fun of the sport because I feel like once you lose that, you kind of lose all of it. So focusing on the fun aspect, but at the same time, there definitely is more pressure going into next year. I feel like we have a excellent pro late model pro late model program and a vastly quickly developing super late model program. So I have a lot of confidence in my team. I feel like everything we've done this year is going to put us in a great position for next year. Our pro late model, I feel like we should be able to definitely get some wins in. Super confident in everything we've done there and what we've built. And the super late models, I feel like we're definitely going to be contending for some top fives more common. That is the goal for next year.
How do they put these teams together? So when you talk to a new team, you're going to Carson Hocevar. I would imagine they want at least one driver who really knows the cars inside and out, knows the setups. Maybe they'll take some young up and comers to come in to drive the wheels off of them. How are the teams laid out, and what sort of expectations? I mean, obviously, you want to achieve success, but so does the team. Who sets the goals? Who's more aggressive with the goal setting, the team or you and your family?
I think I'm probably the most aggressive with goal setting because I think everyone else is a little bit more realistic. I always go to the racetrack with the goal of winning, as does everybody else. Obviously not the case with fields as stout as we're racing against. Just not realistic. But I probably set the most expectation on myself, and the team just kind of backs it up. I feel like we all are pretty just try to optimize instead of set a specific over under of a position because we all have all of our meetings and stuff, make sure we're all doing the best we can. And that's, I guess, the expectation is just everyone's giving 110% all the time.
I'm going to ask you a question here. You can touch on it or not touch on it. This week we saw, in fact, yesterday, the IHRA comes out with their new series that's been announced. It's cars similar to, at least it appears to be, cars similar. Does that draw any chatter with you guys, your teams, anybody talking about that? Is there any thoughts to this IHRA deal?
I think it'll definitely be a topic of conversation. Obviously, it goes to some really, really cool tracks that I'd like to get to, which is the most important thing. And obviously, you can't deny the size of the purse that they've put out. It's quite impressive what they've come up with. So when it comes to formulating our schedule, I think it's definitely something we'll consider and look into, but obviously nothing formal yet. We haven't really had an opportunity to look at those schedules. More just making sure we dot our I's and cross our T's with the super schedule before we start looking at more pro late model similar shows.
Chase, I don't have much more for you, but I will ask you this. How do you want the fans to see you? What kind of a driver are you? Who do you appeal to?
Man, I just want to appeal to like regular people. I want to know, I want everybody to know that I'm approachable. I'm always interested in conversations. Love to talk to the fans, love to be that because I was that once. And I think it's absolutely awesome. I just want to be a people's person. I want everyone to walk up to me, and anyone that has questions, I want them to feel completely free and open to talking to me, whether it be an autograph session, reaching out on Facebook. I like to be vocal. I like to respond. So if anyone has questions or any of that, that's how they should see me, as somebody that is easy to talk to and open to answering any questions.
Right on, Chase. Well, we got you in our net now. We'll be following you up after the Snowball Derby, see how that goes for you. All the best, man. You seem to have things headed in the right direction. We'll be watching for you from here on out.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chase. Good luck at school, too.
Thank you so much.
Right on. Chase Pinsnow, man, what a fast trajectory at him. It seemed like he just came on the scene, and now he's down there racing all these major series. And like you mentioned, teaming up with guys like Carson Hocevar's team to get it done. And I feel really good about where we are with our young racers. A lot of them, him, Cole Quinton, going to school, doing the right thing, working hard. It's it's a full-time job to run a race team and a full-time job to go to school and a whole other job just to try and stay alive. So what these youngsters are doing, Trayton's out there trying to make it happen still with exams and stuff. Everybody's working hard to make it happen. So good luck to them.
No, big time. And obviously they've got the means to do a little bit of racing, and good for them. He carries himself well. I was impressed with the way he spoke with us, and I've been impressed watching him behind the wheel of a race car. So let's see a local get it done.
For sure. Snowball Derby, we talked about it's in Pensacola, Florida. I was actually shocked at him. When I think Florida, you think like the bottom end of Florida. But where Pensacola was, it's like down below Talladega. I was shocked where
It's
it was when I
over in the Panhandle, isn't that what they call that?
Yeah, way over.
Pretty
there.
messed up
So,
looking pan. Me.
Yeah. But hey, a lot of our Ontario racers will be down there, whether you're racing, fanning out, or doing whatever you got to do. Excuse me, lots of people are going to be down there. Well, let's talk about the Oshweekend banquet. Then we'll jabber on about some other stuff that went on this week. Oshweekend banquet was Friday. First off, Robbie just came into the chat. Do you have the picture, Robbie? Robbie was our Employee of the Year. Congrats, Robbie. You choked me up with your message at the end of the night. I got home and I actually was off my phone all night. I got back there and was reading it. And it means a lot to be able to give that to you too, Robbie. Robbie works hard at Oshweekend. If you don't know who he is, you obviously have been to Oshweekend. So good on Robbie to get that done. I don't know, Adam. I thought the way we did the awards, we hustled through it. Anybody, probably some. I know some of you, Fran's here, so I know he watched. Some people here watched us last Friday from the banquet hall. Maybe if we don't say the name, you can tell us what you really think. So the banquet hall, just like the truck, I don't know, man. Like they had us call for dinner at 6:30, and then by 8:10, we're still trying to get through it to get started.
And I was so mad, and it dawned on me, that's what sets me off a lot of years. I can't stand the sitting still. And what was churning through my head, and I don't want to speak negative because the banquet was a great it was my best banquet. I enjoyed it. I went in with the goal of enjoying it. But frig, they're the most reputable banquet center in all of Hamilton, Ontario. Dinner's at 6:30, serve it at 6:30. We have to prepare a damn racetrack every Friday, and we're still ready to go at 7:30. Not 8:30, not 8:20, not when we get around to it. 7:30.
It did seem like they were at least 30 to 40 minutes behind schedule with all that, which puts us a little bit behind schedule, which, you have 650, 670-ish people there. I realize it takes a while to feed them, but, man, we got to get moving.
Here's the reason it matters. For the last number of years, it's been eat dinner, eat dessert, dessert still on the table, we will start doing the banquet. We do all the trophies. As soon as the presentations are over, the band gets set up and starts playing. In the time it takes the band to get set up, 80% of the crowd is gone. I would say I'll bet you it has been close to 80 in years past. This year, I'd say maybe 50% left. So the goal was not to rush through the program, but to redesign the program a little bit to make it more efficient. We never want to rush. No matter what award you won on the weekend, we want you to have that moment. Just doesn't need to be 5 minutes. So make those adjustments, and people did stick around, Clinton. It is undeniable. People stayed. They didn't stay later this year. They left at the same time, but there was just a lot more time to hang around.
Do I look like I'm going to be sick right now? Because I feel like I'm going to be sick. Because I'm going to have to admit that you're right about something.
No,
and it just pains me.
Once in a while.
You have been chirping since at least last year's banquet that we do all the awards for each person at the same time. So we really worked hard. For example, when Ryan Beagle came up, instead of calling him up for the Driver of the Year, for the championship, for the Hard Charger, for the Six Nations deal, it was we just gave it all to them once at the front. I also think by having all the top 10 at the front, most of the specialty awards end up in those guys' hands as it are anyways. So they're already at the front. I think that shaved a lot of time. We also didn't play all these great videos that Spencer did during the presentation. We have top 5 videos for everybody, but we played those during dinner, so everybody in the hall got to see them as we were eating. So I just thought the change we made certainly seemed to go by a bit better, you know. So
And we could see it. The ones I remember when we called up Go Fast Teeple and Connor when he won, you got to see how long it actually takes, how long you have to wait because they weren't in the top 10 in points. So they weren't already at the front. So last year, that's how long every award would have taken, unless they're sitting right at the front. So I thought that was good. And I'm going to go here as well, Clinton. I thought almost everybody was really well dressed. They looked the part for the event that we were at. And dude, we've had champions before come up in sweatpants. I know it's been a long time. It's been more than 25 years, but I will never forget it. So we've come a long way.
do you know who it was? I don't remember that.
I do, but I'm not going to say. But it is the same person
Okay.
who ran across the racetrack, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Fair enough. I thought the healers were great. The healers always put on a great show. It was funny. It was the end of the night, and they were wanting to pack it up. I looked over, and Glenn and Tina still had full tables, and I'm like, hey, both bosses are still here. You might want to strum out a couple more tunes. So we played a bit later there. Always a good time. Yeah, I was happy with it. I thought things went well. We heard good comments. The buzz after was how fast everything seemed to go. So that was pretty good. And yeah, just dinner service. A little bit too much. Someone had to
And
get up the nerve to meet you.
You know what? Thank you so much. Of all the places we go, Clinton, Oswego is one of the harder places to meet people, and I don't know why. Maybe because the other places we go, we're only there once a year quite often. So people will come up, but Oswego, we sort of keep to ourselves. Greg and I are two of the most antisocial people at the racetrack. But no, I'm so glad. I'm glad you did. And I hope I wasn't rude. I hope I was polite because I try to be. But I love meeting people.
Yeah, I remember Keegan and Campbell Baker's mom, Terry Baker's wife, came up to the table and said she listens to these guys every week. She's got to meet Adam and Greg. So it was great. You can do that. Yeah, I always leave the banquet feeling, 650 people. I feel like I talked to 10. There's just never enough time to see everybody and do all the stuff we've got to do. So another one's down.
There's a lot going on.
We officially turned the page. Yeah, Sam, Jesse did get disqualified because he didn't have a race suit on one night. We remember that. Were you there, Adam, that night?
No, I don't think
the Bomber
so.
Days.
Yeah,
Jesse McDonald won the race and got out in victory lane. And I'm like, Jesse, congrats on your win, but you're disqualified because you're wearing a T-shirt.
Oh, boy.
That was the end of that. Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
I think I got
huge
2 or 3 times.
The volume of people there, I didn't see a single argument, let alone fight. Didn't see anybody throwing up in the bushes. It looks. I loved seeing, who was it that had a school bus? Was that Dylan Westbrook's crew?
I think so. Yeah, they had a full bus.
But even that, they got to stay after the deal because things ended so early. They got to hang around for a good hour after and then load into the bus. But way to go, everybody, for being responsible.
Yeah, we don't have too much trouble at Oswego. As far as fighting and bullshit like that, everybody seems to get along. I'm sure there was some puking. I've seen a lot more drinking go on at banquets in the past, but everybody seemed to be on their best behavior going out. So that's always good. What do you got there? You got your G-Force koozie? Maybe you should show that off a little
Yeah,
bit.
I was
I don't even
showing
know
it
how
off
people,
earlier.
I noticed. I don't even know how people get them. We got a few of them. If you see us around, ask for one.
Well, you usually have like 8 in your pocket. So if you see Clint at a track and he's wearing a jacket or a hoodie, I'm sure he's got swag in it.
Well, like ACC, every time I packed beers, I put them all in koozies and we were just giving them out as we finished our beer. So, yeah, or around a Pepsi too.
All right. I know it's not on the rundown, but answer me this.
No, if it's not on the rundown, we're not talking about it.
Well, you know what? I just show 296 new rules. Hey, why does it take all the way until Peterborough for us to go around the campground drinking beers? What is wrong with the system overall that we don't do that until Thanksgiving?
Well, one, we're actually camping there. It's the one time we actually are stationed for triple days in a row, 2, 3 days in a row. We're on the same spot, so we can just walk back to the campsite. Usually, either make something or get something to eat, and then socialize a little bit before we pack it in. I know I feel bad. Curtis Connell bugs me all the time for the last 2 summers. Just come and have a drink with him in the pits after the races or in the campsite. But I know myself and you, we're usually going somewhere the next day. So it's rare that I have a lot of time, or we're driving home for an hour. So we're not going to sit home and or sit around, drink a few beers, and then drive home. So, and usually most days
that's
I'm
true.
like on a weekend Friday, I'm trying to get over there by 2, so I can be home by 3 to get up at 8:30 to go back to Sobel or something silly like that, or catch a flight somewhere. So I don't know. I wish we had
Good
more days
point.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a Brighton is fun, because we have accommodations. We stay at the track. We can spend that time doing it. So, who drove the number 12 sprint car for GSR in 2019? That have been Brad Herron?
Yeah. Wow, good memory.
Man, do you know, like, can you go back 20 years? Like, they could stomp us at the banquet, man. Pull out some old pictures. I forgot more racers than I know. I promise you that these days.
I'd remember them pretty quick, I think. Like we called the action for so long. It might not come to me right away, but it would eventually. Oh, that's Michelle Johnson. That's Brad Herron. That's
like
Amanda
what if I said
Stone.
Robert Alarelli?
Rob Alarelli. He drove. He was a mini stock racer.
Yeah. See, even saying that name sounds funny to me now because I can't. We said it a million times, but going back there, he was like the first dominant mini stock guy, right?
Yeah. Guys like Mike Azzopardi, Spank Martin,
Steve
and
Ruddy, we
the
were talking about the banquet
mod
too.
stocks. Yeah.
Look at Fran, 85. I thought I couldn't remember what his number was. I was
I
thinking
thought it was
40.
in the teens. I was thinking 12
See,
or
we're way out
18,
there.
so I was way off. Nice.
That's
Thanks,
funny.
Mark.
Yes, so I forgot more guys than we still have today. It's insane.
Who was Dave Goodacre's driving partner? They always pitted together. Dave Goodacre, Rick Robinson.
Oh,
Is that his name? Rick
that's
Robinson?
right. That's who it was. That's who it was. Yeah.
So it's funny, like you think of one and then
Damn.
another one pops into your mind, and it's amazing. The history. Like Oshwegan has had a short run, relatively speaking, but a lot of history there. A lot of people have come
I
and
didn't even
gone.
knew he was from Sheffield, Ontario. Oh my goodness, friend, are you looking at a roster? Or you just pull that out of your head. That's insane.
I picture the wall of Fran's room is like a phone book. Like that's how big the font is. But it's every driver ever in their hometowns, and
That reminded me. I got some pictures after last week's discussion. I'm going to send them to Spencer if I can find them here.
so
We
I
talked
brought
about
that up.
old memorabilia.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Talk about something while I find what I'm trying to find here.
Yeah, I brought that up about Peterborough because it just popped into my mind. You know, tracks that we have lost: Kawartha, Moseport, Cayuga, which might be Jukasa now, which is on hold but not gone forever. Sunset Speedway, hopefully it's on hold, not gone forever. But as we lose more and more tracks,
Humberstone.
Humberstone, it would be nice for tracks to put together more specials, more reason to come out and camp, draw more of the people in different times of the year than just what we call the postseason, right? Or playoff season or whatever the hell they called it.
I just sent Spencer another round of pictures from both. Fran sent me his stuff. We were talking about nostalgia stuff. I got to pull some shit out here next week. Um, Run them, Spencer, if you can. Fran's old Humberstone shirts and hats. Fran, like, what are you gonna do with all this stuff, man? What year would that be? That's like 72. And then Bob Monroe, he immediately sent me a message. We were talking about the old snap up satin Jukasa jackets. And Bob said there were only a couple of them and everybody wanted them. And he managed to get one. These are the old style Speedway official jackets. Look at that. I can hear Bob screaming in the microphone.
That's the Cayuga jacket I remember.
The classic one. Yeah. Awesome. Keep that stuff coming, boys. We love it. Well, we talked a bit about IHRA Stock Car Series. They announced it. They've been doing a lot of stuff in the IHRA across many different disciplines. Like they're even doing boat racing, all kinds of stuff now. They announced they're going to get into a late model style stock car series. I saw a post today said the money's going to be out Friday. They're going to announce the money Friday. Grassroots grit on a national stage. We will watch what happens here with IHRA. Here's the schedule, March through October, and these are
Virginia.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. We heard Chase Benson earlier say he'd take a look at it, and you never know how many guys may go at it. We'll see what it's conflicted with.
Yeah, but let's have some of the conversation we had today, Clinton. Was that today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
And it got pretty vocal. So what we do, Clinton and I will often call each other and talk about topics a little bit. And we'll take either side and then kind of switch. Like we're not sure where we stand on things. And I could understand some of the posts saying, oh, just what we need, another pavement racing series. But I like the concept. They're talking about affordable racing, which is nice of them to say. Don't know what that means exactly because that's kind of subjective. But I like that something different is coming along that's not chase the highest dollar, because the problem that exists in pavement racing is costs getting out of control. And as I said to you on the phone, Clinton, this is a problem that has not found a solution yet. Not with the past series, not with the Snowball Derby, not with the ASA series, not with the Cars Tour. All of these things that have come along and we're going to be the next bigger and best thing, all they are is the next expensive thing. Nobody has been able to come along and achieve something that the days of a regular Joe being able to go racing in a showcase series like this, they're gone. I mean, we're lucky if a regular Joe can run at a weekly track. It's hard enough. But it would be nice if they didn't have to be the economic elite are the only ones that can afford it.
Yeah, I think you bring up some good points there. I think if you try and reinvent a new, cheaper car, you have to get all these people to invest in this car to make your series. So it's much easier to adapt late model stock car rules or pro late model rules, whatever rule package they choose to be closest to, or let's say pluck from like Chase Pensano said. So what he dropped there is he said we're going to do our super late stuff first, then we'll see what we're going to do with the pro late. So that makes me believe this is going to be a pro late style series. At least that's the information that Chase has. So
which
those aren't
gives you
exactly the cheap cars.
it gives you the opportunity to make it a cheap car if you go with a spec motor. Is that Randy Ross? Is that dirt modified Randy Ross? I was thinking about him not long ago, just in the comments. But a pro late model, at least you have the opportunity to come out with a spec engine or a crate engine that is still quasi affordable, reliable horsepower. You can't do that in a super late model. It just can't be achieved. Um, so as I say,
Yeah,
I don't know if it is the answer, but if it's something that can control costs, and Randy Ross is a great example. If you remember the Bug Chaser 91 that Billy Decker drove, I think they had Wheels sponsorship for a while, the number 91. Randy's an awesome guy from New York State. But I seem to recall Randy was one that was stepping up to say, look, the costs are getting out of control. What can be done? What can be done? Nothing could be done. And I think it was cost that chased him out of the sport, that or he just got bored of it.
is the feeling of cost control going backwards for technology? Is the feeling that we're slowing the cars down so nobody wants to talk about cost control? Well, why
It's the
why are we
opposite.
getting, you know, how so?
Because Clint, Cup cars were faster in 1985 than they are now. Facts. There was no
Yeah.
question about it. Nobody will go as fast as Buddy Baker did. So, what happens if take the bump stops away, take tire away? Now the cars aren't going to handle as good. They're going to be sliding a little bit. Now a bump and run is it's hard to give a bump and run if the cars are all glued to the track. But if I can see the driver ahead of me is really loose, I just have to touch him a couple of corners, use him up. I think it gives you a much greater sensation of speed. Control equals speed. Smooth is fast. If you take away that control, it looks faster. Fans don't care about a stopwatch. But if it looks faster and if it looks a little more gnarly to drive, the fans are going to get turned on. I don't know why, but I've been watching some old races on Dirt Vision and watching the modifieds kick a little bit loose and be a little bit meaner to handle. Just going back to the early 2000s, back into the 1990s. It's like, ooh, that's exciting. Cars are way too glued to the track. Unhook the damn things. You're right, they're going to go slower, but they're going to look faster.
That also lets the cream rise to the top. You know, it becomes talent, becomes more important then, and you're really getting a truer sense of who's got the talent, not who's got the money, just to make it happen. The timing of this, Adam, is obviously seems very coincidental with NASCAR's woes. You and I both have talked a bit at length about this in private. I'm shocked at what's come out. Um, the fact they're even setting themselves up to be screenshot like that is unbelievable, even if you had those feelings. But either way, so IHRA puts it out this time. It looks on the surface that, oh, this is very trying to jump down NASCAR's. It's like we said, even if the NFL had all the kind of PR problems that NASCAR has right now, per se, they're still the number one league in the world. They're still not going anywhere. You know, they'll fix these problems and they'll still be there. But it is closing in on PRI time. That's typically when a lot of these things get announced. PRI is in 2 weeks. So that's going on also. But what you said has kind of resonated with me. What IHRA has done is they've got a great base of product partners and vendors that they can now give someone like an oil company touches across so many different genres of motorsports with one contract, right? So that's where someone like, let's just say, a spark plug company, right? Everybody in their field could use a champion or an NGK or whatever brand comes to the table for them. So I think that their offerings are going to be good for this. The money, we'll see what it comes out. Chase mentioned it looks good to them. We'll have to see how many drivers actually step up and go for this.
For sure. And hopefully they use their powers for good. right? We've seen it before, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just outlining how it works. If you take a tire company that gives a series money, they're not really giving the series money. They're taking a tire that they would have sold for $100, forcing everybody in the series to run them, charging $200 instead of $100, and giving $50 of that back to the racers and $50 back to the series. So who's winning there? The racer is spending more money to get half of that back. And my numbers might be off. It might not be a 50-50 split, but that's how these things work, right? Anytime you have a part that has to be run, or you've got to run these air filters, well, that air filter company is having to pay a premium to the sanctioning body, say to NASCAR. They're charging that premium back to the racer. So hopefully IHRA has traditionally done good things for their lower level series and built a really good grassroots following. We'll see if they can do it. It'd be great if they can.
But let me play the other side of what you just said there. So let's say we take XYZ Tire Company in our XYZ series and we say this is the tire we want everybody to run. We're in agreement we need a tire rule, right?
Yes.
Agree? Open tires are bad. So you have a tire rule. So now this XYZ Tire Company, they can set their prices, do what they want. But if they don't give something back, they're bastards. And if they give something back, well, that's just your own money back. So it's a no-win situation for them. Now, if they're jacking it up and doubling a tire that was normally $500 or let's say $250, and now they're charging $450 for it because it has the XYZ series stamp on it, well, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that is, like I said, I'm not saying I'm not knocking them. I'm just pulling the curtains back to say this is how these deals work.
Yeah, and and as a sanctioning body, I want rules on my air filters, let's say. So we're going to mandate this rule. And I would say from a promoter's perspective, and I'm sure the race teams and guys like Randy Ross have different opinions. But anytime we can make a spec deal and everybody's running the exact same part, the competition in theory should be better. But when you do a spec part, that's also in theory where prices get inflated because you're being forced to run that part for a kickback, right? So it's that balancing act you're trying to run there.
Well, here's another thought that might be controversial, but I don't think it is. Most of your job as a Speedway general manager is to protect the racers from themselves. No carbon fiber, whatever, in the crate sprints. Because if you allowed it, they would do it. Someone would miss their mortgage payment next year because they had to buy a titanium kit or some shit. Right? A lot of rules are put in place, not because you want to have rules, but because you want to have good competition and you want your racers to be able to afford to keep coming out the next week and the next week. Otherwise, everyone would run the softest rubber you can possibly find, burn them up every week, put on new ones next week. No, you come up with a common sense tire that performs and lasts. So there are a lot of things that I don't want to just throw shade on things. I think it's important, though, that racers and race fans kind of see how certain things work within the industry.
All right, let's get into the PA Posse series. Let's talk about that and I'll have some picture drop. We'll talk a bit about some of that stuff. So, PA Posse series comes out, Adam, and, in the mornings I'm a pessimist. That's all bullshit. Whatever. So, this big series announcement comes out. It's $2 million plus PA. That's great. And on the outside, it looks like it. All that says to me is these guys stopped screwing with each other. And they finally started working together to get to get all their money and their ducks in a row to make it work. So the Central PA tracks unite for a groundbreaking $2 million PA Posse 410 series. Sounds amazing. All to me, that means it's just they stopped screwing with each other. So it is amazing to see all these guys work together, and that to me is the story. Because if we add up all the dirt track payments here between Brighton, Ohsweken, Buxton, Merrittville, Brockville, Cornwall, we're going to be at $2 million too, or $1.5 million.
You will be, but
so
that doesn't explain the points fund. The points fund is impressive. That money has to come from somewhere.
Go back to that. Let's see.
I agree with you. The $1.8 million in payouts, that was going to happen. That's just what they're paying.
So my question to you is, okay, $200,000 point fund. Is that on top of their already point funds? Because look at how they blended the total payouts. So we're 1.8 million in total payouts. So that's over the course of the season at all those tracks. So does that mean the 200,000 in point fund is on top of the regular track point funds, or is that all these tracks putting their point funds together like they've just accumulated the 1.8 million in total payouts? Because our Osh Weekend payout last week was 67,000.
Right. So okay.
That's all I'm saying. Now, if they've all kicked in, so how many tracks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So.
How did you get to 12? Is there tracks beyond Path Valley?
How many? Maybe I counted too fast. 10. Okay. So each track kicks in $20,000. Maybe.
Right. Makes sense to me. That's the number I came up with. Let's say each track hosts one race. That's $180,000 purse per race. If each track hosts 3 races, that's $60,000 per race. So they are good paying races. But you're right, that was going to happen anyhow. But it's that points fund does sound impressive.
It looked like creative, like they oversold it a little bit. I felt, the true headline should have been PA tracks get together and stop stepping on each other's toes. But they led with the total money when they added it all up, which I just felt was not deceiving, but not the biggest part of that story. I think maybe
that was one of my dad's favorite sayings. Figures don't lie, but liars can figure.
Look at you. A great track promoter is going to make even a shitty thing look good, right? So let's just close that up. Let's look at the other schedule there, Spencer. That was the other slide that came down with that. Here's all the races scheduled together. Great that they can work together. Great for a guy like Dietrich or Anthony Macri or those guys from that region who can go out and put it on the Ramers. This is going to be amazing for those types of teams, and it's great that they're working together, and it's just going to strengthen the PA scene. So very good on them. Don't want to talk bad about it. I just felt the headline was stealing it for the wrong reasons.
It looks like
a lawsuit we touched upon.
Sorry, Clint. We were doing good, not stepping on each other. Looks like about 50 races on that series. What's 1.8 million divided by 50? 1.8 million divided by 100 would be 18,000.
I'm not even touching that. I'm trying to cough my head off.
36,000. So that's not very heavy purses. So they actually could have inflated that number because I'm sure those purses are bigger than 36,000 for a 410 sprint car race.
Here's a good topic. Maybe you'd have to save for next week. McPhail says, how about if a car wins a certain number of races, they have to add weight to the car? I'm waiting for you to talk.
Oh, okay. I was looking at it. I don't like it. I don't like it because I believe everyone should run by the same rules. If you want to give them position penalties, maybe every race you win, you can't start in front of 20. We've already got Dave Bailey and Ryan Beagle starting like 18th and 19th. Yeah, as long as you're enforcing the rules and running a good series with good rules, good rule book, good tech, I don't love the thought of adding weight and making it different for one driver than another. Because sometimes someone's just better than the rest.
Yeah, we have seen, as Fran said, I've seen a guy in mini stock where they added weight and the car got better. So it didn't slow them down. It obviously has to be mandated to be put in the worst spot on the car. You give me an extra 50 pounds to put where I want. No, you're really in trouble. If we're talking about the big dog and his dominance, I don't think his car's close to weight anyways with him in it.
Well, let's say Dylan Westbrook.
Yeah, and so what are you gonna do? You're gonna keep adding 25 pounds to Westbrook every week, and then you know you've got all the extra weight on the cars. It's a dangerous thing with sprint cars. I don't know. It's a great topic. You
I've
know,
got okay. Here's my initial
it's
thought. I'll just give you one response to it, and we'll leave it in case we want to talk about it further. If you slowed down Dylan Westbrook, the rest of the field never would have gotten so good.
yeah. Samantha asks, why is Bailey so much faster from the back and in a few laps at the top? I the only thing I can say about Dave Bailey is if you watch Abby's drone footage of him and Beagle, their cars don't push at all. At all. Their cars roll to the bottom so good. Everybody else seems to enter the corner with a mild to heavy push. The car rotates and then they come off. Their cars just rotate the whole time. Let me ask another devil's advocate question. So we want to add weight to winners. You know, when Vladimir Guerrero is leading the home run derby, and once he hits 75, do we start making him wear a weighted bat, or does he just get to be the greatest ever? When Wayne Gretzky scores hundreds of goals in a game, are we saying, no, he needs a smaller stick? Because it's not fair to
I
the
think.
rest of them.
Well, when you do weight penalties and things like that, the reason you're doing it is to improve the show. You're not doing it for the other 20 racers to give them a better
Yeah,
shot. You
no, and
sort of are, but you're doing it.
I get it with Scott. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm playing devil's advocate there. He says, just trying to make it a little more competitive for the fans. And sure, there's no doubt some fans are getting tired of seeing the same drivers win, but I don't know if it's fixable, Adam. In every era, from the time I was a 5-year-old going to Merrittville, we had dominant drivers. When we got in, Pete McNeil was unbeatable. Now you got Matty Williamson and Dylan Westbrook, who seem unbeatable. And before Dave Bailey and Ryan Beagle, we had Brian Halliwell and Ronnie Reese and these guys who were just untouchable. It just
Look at our mini stocks and our crate sprints. So many different winners. So that you just get to a point sometimes where some divisions have a dominant force, and that's kind of how it is. And it's just, and yeah, Scott, definitely not shitting on your thoughts. I love that. I want to see people post opinions and we can hash them out and make racing better. You always have to be thinking of things to try to make racing better. That's what we do. We try
this is
anyhow.
the time of year for ideas, also, right? If we got some ideas, let's hear them now because these are the time when we can act upon them and make things go. Steve Shaw says, if you're tired of seeing the same guy win, you're cheering for the wrong guy, meaning you should probably be cheering for the guy who wins all the time. Wow. Tyler, that's a whole other question. What happened to guys like Brian Hallen, Dane Nida, and who was the last one there? Oh, Keith Dempster. Not sure what Dempster's doing these days. Dane Nida is pretty much concentrating on his kid Darren. He's an up-and-coming sprint car driver out of Michigan these days. And Brian Hallen just kind of retired. Moved on with life a bit, as far as we know. Let's look at some pictures and have some fun, though. We got some other fun stuff to talk about. Show me something, Spencer. Another thing here, Adam. Saturday, August 1st for the first Fonda Lebanon Valley Challenge event. Extra money, lots of extra prestige. Another example of the dirt tracks trying to work together to make this work. Both are Saturday tracks in the same kind of region. So I'm assuming Lebanon Valley will be giving Saturday, August 1st off for at least the modified 358 Sportsman and Pro Stocks. Probably most likely going to be a monster truck night or something like that.
Yep.
Where they give the night off. A lot of the places down there have the fairs too. I don't think Lebanon Valley does, but we can work it out.
And
cool.
Sorry, Clinton. The number one reason why that can work: common rules.
Yes. Show me something else, Spencer. Just a cool pick. The cool pick. Isn't this always the best angle? Just helmet just waiting to be used. Love that picture. Wishing Stewart the best. I understand they're hoping back in the trucks at Daytona. So Stewart continues to recovery. All the best from all of us here. What else? This is an Ontario Sportsman Series car, Adam. That's a good freaking looking race car. Not complete yet, doesn't have the window in it, but man, I think the Ontario Sportsman Series hasn't got the love. Certainly not from this show. Maybe it's because we don't want to step on Cam's toes. That's his stomping grounds. But this series has been clinging on for the past decade since NASCAR left them in hanging, and it's still there, man, and it's still chumming away. It's a good series. Check it out, the Ontario Sportsman Series, which is
we should talk to a promoter about them.
Yeah, they run
because they keep building a schedule.
100-lap races. Yeah, they always got a good presence at Motorama too. So we'll definitely we can work on that. What else, Spencer?
And I just mean to talk about the draw of that class, like what makes that class appealing as a promoter to bring in. Because as you say, it's not necessarily thought of as an A-list division, but they bring them in to run 100-lappers. Like if APC is running Sunset, Delaware might run OSS that weekend.
Yeah, and they're the former Pinty's NASCAR Canada Series cars, so that's where the old chassis end up there, and it's some good-looking cars for sure. OSS at the Big O. It's not that far out there. Call me. Show me something else, Spencer. Jared Fitzpatrick's car, we had him on last. We talked about this Wild Arrow Camaro he's building. Look at the hips on that thing. I just love it already.
It's pretty
keep
sexy.
Pictures coming, JR. We'll keep watching as it goes. That picture right there. Awesome. Love how it's jacked up in the back end like that. Keep it rolling, Spence. Wall of Famers inducted at the Oswego Wall of Fame. Mike Evers on the right there. Glenn Stars in the middle on the left. Mike Thorne. Mike and Laura just announced at the banquet they're expecting in May. So all the best to Mike and Laura. Met at Oswego, which is super cool. Mike, his story. Mike Evers on the right side there, the boss man. Been around for a long time too. So congrats to all them on our Wall of Fame. It's just a good picture we had to throw in there today.
Yep. Well deserved. That picture's probably 25 years old.
No,
maybe
solid 15, maybe. Probably 20, maybe.
Those jackets were from the 90s for sure, I think. Wow.
That's Jim Swing, another Wall of Famer. Swing won a lot of races in that number 40 Dodge he had for many years.
Yes, he did.
All right, that's good, Spence. Look at this youngster. Mike Thorne there when he started with us in a mini stock Ford. Look at that thing.
He looks like Nick Sheridan there.
Yeah, they kind of got the same haircut. All right, what else? This is to look at how askew these cars were. Look at how cranked over that thing is on the right with the bodies and what they were letting them get away with to put them out in the wind. That thing is ugly as sin, isn't it?
It would fit through the template.
Oh, it's just terrible. Looks like it got, like, T-boned in the passenger door. Twisted.
Yeah.
When you look at it from that side. Just,
yep.
Yeah. Weird looking cars. The whole thing's just messed with my OCD. All right, what else? Speaks for itself. Jesse Costa and some of our youngsters out there getting it done. Micro sprints and crates on the back of the parade floats as it's parade season here. Good job repping to those crews. The D&O towing crew. All right, let's see. We got Al Spence. Oh, this is unexpected. Did you have Joey Logano coming out bald on your bingo card?
Well, you've known he's worn a hairpiece for years, right? That or hair plugs.
But
there comes a point when you got to do it. I think it suits him. Here's what I don't get. While we're on the topic of Joey Logano is the original driver with no backstory. He is the original cloned race car driver, never had a life, was bred to drive race cars, and came up winning from the start and turned into a NASCAR superstar. Right? Like, he's not like the David Ruderman or Darrell Waltrip, right, who cut their teeth at these tracks and that tracks, and then Mark Martin, ASA, and then made it to the top. So how is it that Joey Logano is the most personable driver in the NASCAR ranks right now? Like, you hear him do interviews, and he's like, yeah, I'd like to have a beer with that guy. That's not, like, how did he develop that as a grown-up?
Well, he had attitude for a while still.
Oh,
And
that's what I mean.
You know, we see some of these drivers mature a little bit. Look at Kyle Busch. You know, it's safe to say he was humbled, right? You know, it was crazy.
Okay, 11 on 200 with pit stops and radios. I'm in. We should get Randy on the show one show this winter, if we can set that up.
Look it up.
Some great insights.
I'm surprised he's watching us doofuses on a Wednesday night. Must be a slow night in Western New York tonight. No sports, nothing going on.
He's not Western. He's down in the capital region. He's way out of our zone.
Still too far to be paying attention to us.
What were their dogs' names at the races? They had two dogs. I think their names were like Afko and Scott Jeffries was the crew chief. Damn it. Can't remember the names of their dogs. But one was named after a shock company.
It was a powerhouse team. Back when Syracuse was the shit.
Yep.
So much good times. All right, let's get out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us on a Wednesday. I don't think we got much going on this week. Kind of a slow week for us, too. But we'll be back next Tuesday to check it out. We got a few more shows to go before the year is out. And that's it. Thanks, Spencer, for all you do. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Thanks to Chase Pinson for stopping by. Let us know who you want us to see on the show. We'll work on getting them on for you. That's it. Say something, Adam. Goodbye.
Goodbye.